Hey, I'm Brandon Cutler here at Gen Con for Upper Deck, promoting our new game, Versus. It kind of started in, I want to say around 2015 or 16. Me and my now wife were dating at the time, and we started going to conventions, and our buddy realized we were really into this kind of an atmosphere. And so he got us into what we call the gateway game for us, which was Ticket to Ride. And so we played that, and he was like, if you guys like that game, you're gonna like this game. And then so he started just introducing us into more and more of these games that are at like Gen Con. And we became hooked. We wanted to get into everything. And so we went down all the rabbit holes. Yeah, so D&D is real big to me. I was watching that when we had our first daughter. With no sleep when they're newborn, you're afraid they're gonna die from everything and anything. And so I would stay up watching Critical Role a lot. And so I got really into watching them play Dungeons and Dragons and learning how Dungeons and Dragons works by watching that show. And so I started DMing my own game, and that was a lot of fun. Me and my friends love character creation the most. Just making up new characters, new worlds that they explore. Right, yeah, and so that was when I got back into wrestling around 2017. I kind of needed a gimmick, and so it was always like, all right, well, usually pick something that you really love and like just amplify that. That's how wrestling usually is. And so I was like, I love tabletop gaming, and so I was like, I think if I just stick with one though and go Dungeons and Dragons, there's something there. And so like, yeah, my wife made me a huge, like gorgeous robe that, as if I was like a follower of Tiamat. And so I went with that of like, all right, yeah, if I'm a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast, but also like, if I was like a super like Tiamat follower in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, that's what I kind of went for. Yeah, I would come out and I would roll a dice on my entrance in my matches. And I honestly never really knew what the number was gonna mean. I was like, it's just kind of fun to do. But everyone would be like, what's gonna happen if he rolls a natural 20 though? And I honestly did not have an answer for it. I should have probably thought something through. But yeah, people would be like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen. And I was like, I just hope I never actually roll a natural 20 on screen. It is surreal. It was surreal back when we got toys in AEW, and it's surreal again now seeing a card game based on the Versus system using all the likenesses of my coworkers and friends. It's amazing. It's so cool. Like, yeah, people behind me are in the game. You can see them all. And it's nuts because when AEW first started, I was an advocate to try and get we were working with Upper Deck. I wanted to try and get an Upper Deck legendary AEW game. And so like just with like a lot of calls and stuff, it ended up being this Versus. I was a big advocate for AEW getting a card game, and its first one being with Upper Deck because I'm huge into legendary. When it was the talks of Legendary, I was on some of the phone calls. I had the privilege of being like kind of like the bridge of wrestler to like Upper Deck. But when they started doing the Versus stuff, that was all like them. They did a lot of that. It was amazing. But now that it's done and I get to come and see and practice the game and learn it and stuff, it's incredible to see. It's awesome. There's a lot of like tabletop people in AEW that I'd love to. I was already telling them of like, I know Orange Cassidy would probably love this game. I know Excalibur, Athena, Nyla Rose, Uno. There's a lot of people that are gonna just eat this game up. Yeah, wrestling is kind of like, I always say wrestling is a live action stunt scene. Like you see guys going out there and doing these incredible things for the first time in front of you, so there's a big chance that it can go wrong. And I feel like that's a big part of D&D is like improving with your friends of like, all right, there's a basilisk, what are you doing? And like the DM is like wanting your answer right there, right now. And so there's like similarities in that aspect of like, you're improving and like you're on the go, and it's like, just you gotta have an answer immediately. And so that's kind of, in wrestling, the same aspect. Right, exactly. I feel like there is a connection as far as like increasing your confidence and your charisma in wrestling if you've played D&D, because yeah, there's that improv aspect or the role-playing aspect. If you let yourself become comfortable with role-playing and you take part in it, then like that's going to improve your promo work in a wrestling atmosphere. And then also in the ring, you'll just be more confident with yourself, and like you won't like flub, or you'll have like, you know, better answers improving and stuff. Yeah, I ran a D&D game with some of the AEW wrestlers called Critical Botch, and that's where we would all, half of them have never played D&D before, and so that was taking wrestlers and introducing them into D&D and showing them a lot of the similarities, but also just, hey, you know these guys as like these, you know, muscle-bound dudes just tossing each other around. What if we just sit around a table and role play? Colt Cabana and Peter Avalon were surprisingly amazing at role-playing. I guess Colt Cabana is an improv comedian too, so I guess there shouldn't have been a surprise there, but he took to it very well, and then Peter would come out of the blue and make the entire group just laugh their butts off the entire night. He was playing a turtle sorcerer, but he would always, he had, on his character items, he had sand in his pocket. And so in role-playing situations, he would go like, pocket sand, and he would just throw sand in people's faces. And so we would all just burst out laughing. There has been tons of stuff I've seen at Gen Con that like my eyes just can't stop like wandering around seeing things. There's castles, full-on castles are some people's booths. There's of course dice and like LARPing things, amazing art that like just draws you into somebody's board game. Just past board games that I've played, I'll see a company, a brand, and I'll be like, I know I've played a game with that company before. What else do they got? And so I'm like a moth to like lights out here. I'm just drawn to everything. Oh man, I would say my top absolute favorite board game is Legendary by Upper Deck. A second game is probably Lords of Vegas, and I forget who it's by. I'm sorry, but we play that one honestly the most of any. And then third, I would probably say Killer Bunnies. That's an odd throw one, but if you've played it, it's addicting. Yeah, there's a few wrestlers that are already big like gamers that I don't really even have to drag in, but there's a couple that I'm sure, like how I said Ticket to Ride was my my gateway game. I think this Versus AEW game could be their gateway game. Guys like Best Friends, the Dark Order. I could probably get John Silver playing some of this. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can find me on Dynamite with AEW on TBS, or on twitch.tv/Brandon Cutler, or you can find me on BTE every Monday on YouTube. The Versus system from Upper Deck is available now. Buy yours and stay cool.